I don't see myself as an artist. I see myself as a guy who, drives a Dodge Cummins pickup truck and likes the Bobcat, and I was using that dingo. I mean, I'm a guy, I like the equipment, what can I say? I like to start with what I know and then work towards what I don't know. I wanted to take the formality of the house and the informality of the woods and kind of make the two combine. I'd like to show you how not to mulch around a tree. It's a step that I see very few landscapers doing. You want to make sure to have variation in your heights. Look at how lovely this is. We just cued the butterfly to come in. How you doing today, folks? It's a Saturday afternoon, and this morning I went to the nursery and I picked up some coral bells and some yarrow. And my plan for today is to just go ahead and see if I can get the rest of the plants in the ground. I figure that's one less thing I'll have to do on Monday, and rather than feeling kind of stressed out to get things done on Monday, I'll take some time today and I can place the plants where I want and get things, perfectly set up for me. One thing about landscape design and landscape contracting, and I know I promised not to talk too much about design, but it really is an art. I mean, in every design, the spacing of the plants can vary. The plant choices, even if you're just handed a design, the way you implement that design comes down a lot to style. The style of the person planting it, or the knowledge of the person planting it. And the way I do things now compared to the way I did them years ago is definitely different, and things I've learned. My trees are planted a lot farther from houses now. My foundation plantings, the back row of evergreen plants I'll use, are planted much farther now. There's certain fads that have gone through the trades. Ornamental grasses were big for a while. I used them quite a bit in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s. But the ornamental grasses are kind of overdone now, just like a lot of the landscapes have yews growing in them. All this stuff kind of comes together, even down to the way I grade the beds. And I just want to say that landscape design is not I could take my landscape design for this space, I could hand it to 5 different contractors, and the job is going to come out differently. Now, I guess if we did a design that was scaled perfectly and had little X's and O's for every single plant, the way I design stuff is I try to stay somewhat vague with the design, and I know the concepts, but for me, it is a work in progress. As I start working on the design, I get a feel for things. Things that have changed so far is, I know I'm going to have some vinca weeping over the wall over here, and that's okay. The shape of this bed on the hillside, it was designed with 3 curves, and it looked wrong, and that's okay. We went with it, we fixed it. The side of the house, originally we were just talking about taking the plants and just kind of sticking them in the side yard, and my client was going to find a spot for them, but I said, well, no, I think we got a good spot over there. So the design has changed. The gravel along the back of the foundation, I looked at it and I thought, just put gravel in the front of the house, that's where the gutters are. And it would have looked silly just in the front of the house. So I figured I'd continue the gravel a little farther and work it along the outside. There's so much stuff that's a work in progress. And maybe it's just me, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I don't see landscape design as you just stamp it and it happens. I see landscape design, it grows and it evolves. And I guess that's why it's so important, whether you have a design contract firm do your job, or you just have a designer to design it and you hand it off to a contractor. Keep the designer involved, and make sure it all flows together. Next week I'm going to be starting a job in Shelton, Connecticut, where some masons had to build some walls. And I try not to step on toes with masons. I'll design the design, but as the mason was looking at the job, he was talking with my client, and then my client would ask me what I thought of the ideas. And eventually, while I wasn't really part of the direct process, my input made a difference in what the end result was going to be. It's just easier to keep it between the mason and the homeowner for jobs like that. But I guess I'm rambling once again. But you know, it's a work in progress, and I guess in the end, several times a year, people will say to me, you know, John, you're an artist. And I don't see myself as an artist. I see myself as a guy who, you know, drives a Dodge Cummins pickup truck and likes the Bobcat, and I was using that Dingo. I mean, I'm a guy, I like the equipment, what can I say? But in the end, I've got all this equipment because I want to get this end result where it needs to be. And growing up in my house, being an artist wasn't really an option. Luckily, we never said to Dad, I want to be an artist, but that wasn't really, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't have been met very well. But I am an artist. There's no way around that. And this is my art. This is my palette. So with that little ramble out of the way, let's we'll get the plants off the truck. I will place them not according to the plan, but according to what the site tells me, and we'll go ahead and start planting them. Well, folks, that's going to just about do it for today. I did manage to get all the plants in the ground, and then I raked out the bed by the house, and I actually cut the edge too. So this bed over here on this side is all set to go. Once I finish filming this clip, I'll go ahead and get the hose out, give everything a good drink of water. Even though it's overcast, I kind of fear that it's going to be one of those overcasts where it's just about to rain, but it doesn't quite rain. So I want to make sure I keep the water on really well to help with the transplant shock. So we got all our vinca planted over here in this bed right by the sidewalk. And then we put a few vinca over here, which are going to weep down and soften that wall a bit. And I just want to mention, you know, if you're looking at this bed and wondering why there's a bigger space at the back here, if you look up at the roof, there's an overhang. So I didn't want to plant anything underneath the overhang. I wanted to at least get some, you know, natural rainfall. And whenever you're working in the landscape, you know, keep that in mind. If there's an overhang, unless you've got an irrigation system going under there, and even then you just never know if the irrigation system's always going to be on, plant outside the overhang so that the rainfall can get to the plants. And then over here, so take a look at the nice edge, okay? And I filmed the edging today, but I'm not going to really talk about how I do it until we're back again. But this bed is ready to go. And then there we've got our coral bells in the front, giving that little dash of color I was looking for. and the dark bronze maroon color of the coral bells goes right up to the red bud. Raked out all the beds. We've got the yarrow in the back here. So, and then I did go through and pull all the tags as well. And then back here, cut a nice edge, raked it out. I cut off, there were a few dead branches on these rhodies, I cut those out. The hosta had already bloomed, so I just cut off the flower stalks, it looks nicer. So back here is all set too. So then on Monday, we'll go ahead and just repeat the process up in this bed. We got all our plants in, pull the tags, cut the edge, rake out the bed, and we'll be ready for mulch. And then if you take a look back here, you can see I scattered the vinca around the back here, and the soil under these trees is very dry. You know, all week I've been saying how nice and moist the soil was under the trees with the shade. Well, now that it rained a little bit and I've been watering the gardens, these other gardens are nice and moist, and under the trees is drying out. Well, we'll see you all next time we're here, which is hopefully going to be on Monday, and we should come pretty close to finishing on Monday. I guess it depends, you know, on our energy level on Monday and if we hit any glitches. But thanks for watching today, folks, and we'll see you soon. Take care.